is Steve Davis. I'm a CFI IIMEI. I'm based out of South Jersey Regional, Victor Alpha Yankee in South Jersey. I own a Twin Comanche, probably over 20 some years. It's a C model, and gotta say I love her, but she's had her challenges. Hopefully I can help some of my students and others that have had some difficulties landing the Twin Comanche, and hopefully I can demonstrate that I do it okay today. One of the first things I do with my Twin is I analyze the aircraft itself, especially the weight and balance, because then I vary my speeds. The stall speed influences the last number that I will try and hit over the landing zone. They say red line, which is 90 miles an hour. However, your stall speed decreases 1 mile an hour under gross 100 pounds. So if gross is 3,600 and I come over the numbers at 90, great. For every 100 pounds under, I decrease the stall speed by 1 mile an hour. But you have to be careful. You have to feel the plane, and I'd rather float a little bit than land hard. I know, I have. The total weight of the aircraft is 3,600 pounds gross, without tip tanks, without any other alterations like I might have a Miller conversion or something. The engines on this plane, I have probably about 1,500. They're mid-time or greater engines. Total time on the airframe might be 3,600, but the plane's in pretty good shape. The weight and balance, for others that might be interested, my weight, I have should have it listed here, but 2445 at 82 point something CG is my aircraft. Any after major work, I reweigh it. So this is, if we can see on this screen, I don't know if it's coming through, where I am. I am in the forward 20% of that envelope. So therefore, I am very light because I am 38 pounds, 2,938 pounds out of 36. I'm over 600 under gross. I will have to be thinking on my approach on what am I going to do. This is going to help me point. I'm going to move us a little closer. There you go. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to I put my ideas down and then we're going to go fly. And hopefully I can demonstrate what I'm trying to talk about. But you have to plan ahead of time. I start off with the weight and balance and how I configure the plane. I also have to understand my wing design and ground effect. This is a laminar flow wing. It is low to the ground, and I will float, especially if I'm light. That's where people get the difficulty, so they will not use flaps, which I'd rather use flaps and land extra slow when my stall horn goes off. The 6-inch nose wheel versus the 4-inch nose wheel also makes a difference, and I have to be aware of that. The winds, density, altitude, so we're almost at sea level, 53 feet. The winds are 100 at 04. We have a runway 08, which I'll be using. They're fairly calm today. The density altitude is 1,100. It's in the upper 80s, and it's a little bit hot. So my gear speed, when I come into the pattern, we're about to capture a glide path, I have to know what speed do I set my plane at so that I get within those gear speeds. And normally it would be between 15 and 17 inches, but on a light aircraft like I have, I'm going to say 15 inches is going to get me there. So I have to think about my speeds and my settings prior to the approach. So my approach, let's say I'm going to start this very high. So up here I might be at 10,000 feet and I'm cruising along wide open throttle, 2,400 RPM, and I'm leaned out. How do I lean out? I have a JPI. I usually find my peak EGT prior to anything, and then I know that when I take off, I will climb out at 200 rich at peak, monitoring my cylinder head temps and varying accordingly. But at altitude, I have to decide, do I want to do rich at peak, 75 degrees, or do I want to fly at peak or lean at peak? So In order to descend, I'll pull my power back to 20 inches and I'll start going down. 500 feet per minute, I'll lean my props at 24, and I'll stay lean, cow flaps are shut. Somewhere along that descent, I want a constant descent, constant angle. I might want to start decreasing my manifold pressure, and I like to do it slowly, 2 inches at a time, every so often. So at some point, I'll pull the power to 18 inches, 17 inches, but when I am about to be in the pattern or about to capture my procedure turn or glide, I'm going to want to get down to that gear speed 3 miles prior to when I need to dump my gear or less. So 15 inches. I will then slow up to 140 miles an hour, which is my gear speed. 150 they say. I like to be a little slower. A trick is that if I'm not, I'll pull the power back a little bit and hold the nose up, or I'll hold the nose up. So we have tricks to do that. Coming down, drop the gear. It might be glide slope intercept. It might be at, here I am. I'm on downwind, I'm in the pattern. So then I want to slow up from when I drop the gear, the plane will naturally slow up to 125, top of the white arc. If it doesn't, I have to say why. I fly it by the numbers, I set it up, and I expect the performance to be as gears down. I should slow up to 125. At that point, I'm power at 15, 125. I've beamed the numbers. I'm going to give it a notch, a flap of some sort. I look out the window and verify. I want to slow up to 120. On my base leg, 2 notches of flaps. They're not notches, electric. So I look out the window to say, how do I like it? I say high or low, fast or slow. And I want to slow up to 115. When I turn final, I want to be my final 400 or 500 feet, AGL. I do my final gum check. I make sure my gear is down. I make sure the runway's clear. I'm holding blue line till I commit to landing. At that point, I'm going to want to say, runway's clear, gum check's done. I am committing myself to landing. I will then dump all the flaps, mixture full, props go full, and I got to pull the power back because now I got to slow up from the top blue line. I have to come over the numbers at that speed that I thought of. So I then power back to 14 inches. I give it 1 up trim. At 300 feet, 13 inches, up trim 1, 200 feet, 12 inches, up trim 1. I have to decide on the energy of the aircraft. The energy, the movement in the engine, that's kinetic energy, and how high I am, that's potential energy. The sum of all the energy, how's it feel in my butt? How's it feel making it to the runway? Am I fast? Am I slow? What's the winds are like? You know, do I have a good headwind or do I have a tailwind? So I have to think of all these things, and when I feel like it's good, I go to idle. I make sure I'm 100% back to idle, around 50 feet. My descent is coming in, and at some point I do have to bring the nose level, ground effect. Not this, but the faster you are, the smoother this has to be. And there you go, I hold that. I hold that over the numbers. I'm level, I'm in ground effect. I want to try and hold it off until she stalls. If I'm very light, like a day like today, she might balloon. I have to be ahead of her every second. So hold her until she stalls. So my trim, people misuse their trim. When I'm in cruise and I'm on step, my trim is, here's that wheel above head for those Comanche drivers. So my twin on top is fully forwards in cruise. When I take off, when I'm mid-flight, whatever, it's halfway at the takeoff mark. But when I land, that trim should be coming aft. Aft, how far? All the way, because I'm trimming for the airspeed that I wish the plane to fly, and that is at the bottom of the white arc. If I have to do a go around, I can deal with that. That's another story. But the trim should be fully aft. The other thing is when I'm in the pattern, depending on how wide my pattern is, you have to fly a consistent pattern. You have to fly it by the numbers. So when I'm coming in on a 45, I'm at 15 inches. I am then 15 inches. watching my gear speed, watching the runway, watching the winds. And at that point here, 15 inches, I turn downwind, midfield downwind. I should be getting my gear down. I want my gear down. It takes 7 seconds. By the time I am at the numbers, and at that point, I got to confirm my gear is down, or maybe I should go around and figure something out and climb to 2,000 and do a, why didn't my gear go? So the gear went down. I slowed up from 140 to 125. I'm going to beam the numbers, power to 15. I put 1 notch of flaps. I hold the nose level for a couple seconds. I allow the plane to decelerate. I'm going to decelerate 5, maybe 10. I'll be about 120, and I'm starting to come down at about 120. I do not fly these big square patterns. My pattern is going to be, the nose will have this continuous pitch from when I start down till I go to ground effect. So I have to hold that continuously and not hold her level on the base and then dive on the final. I want a continuous angle all the way around, curving in, just like if I was coming down a glide slope. There's really no difference to me. On base leg, I should be getting to about 115. I should be configuring. I should be trimming. And as I turn final, I should be hitting 105 at 400 or 500 feet on final. Lined up with the runway, final gum check, gears down. And if I commit to landing, everything's good to go. Full flaps, if I choose. And I'm going to go mixture, full rich, depending on my elevation. Props, full forwards, depending on the noise I want to make. And I'm bringing it right to that ground effect. That ground effect, that's our key. That last 50 feet is where it all happens, by getting your trim and speed right, coming over the numbers at the right pitch attitude, and the energy. You got to feel it in your pants. We're going to go fly. Let's go see what this sounds like, and hopefully I don't have to take 20 takes and we get this done. Okay, see you up there.
Lights. Got a green. South Jersey, twin back taxi 26. Gear down, I'm staying down. Gear up. Identify the bad engine and verify the bad engine. Feather the bad engine. Clean up. Get up. Come back around. Fly the plane, fly the plane. Checklist is done. Quick app check. I see no one coming in. He didn't tell me which way he was going, but too hot to sit on the runway. My trim is set according to the weight. I might want to get airborne sooner than 90-ish. Any questions? Great. I got G, B, U, lights, time, BLTB, gum check. South Jersey, Twin Comanche, departing runway 26 northeastbound.
Lined up. Marking runway 1, lined up again.
Let's get on the center, get the nose wheel straight, power back, 1500. Gauges are good, windsock check. 1500. Let's roll. Smoothly release the brakes. Stay on the center line, don't give up an inch. Don't give up an inch. Airspeed's alive, check on the gauges, they're good. And because I'm so light, I know it's gonna wanna fly. Almost like a vertical liftoff, I tap the brakes and get the gear up, pitch for blue line, commit to flying. Guard the throttle, guard the throttle. Use my feet to help my wings. Trim down. My next speed, other than blue line was on the ground effect, is now 120. Clear right. My next speed will be 140. I try and hold this pitch. Don't need to be climbing at 2,000-3,000 feet per minute. I'm really light, so it might be really hard. Gear is confirmed up. South Jersey twin crosswind, departure northeast. Now, because the plane moves faster, I can bank 30-40 degrees here, as long as my airspeed's high. There's the downwind. I'm going to take some checks, give a little more trim down. I'm at 150 now.
Traffic,
I pull the props to 25.
Wind
Ish.
Traffic at 19 and
One pump at a time, left pump.
gonna maneuver to join the pattern ahead of us. Hey, firm, we're starting our teardrop turn right now.
Right pump.
And here's what we'll do, we'll maneuver east and rejoin behind you.
One light, two light. I climb out wide open throttle. Gotta keep looking for traffic, I know I got it.
Traffic, 1 minute to go for skydiving over the Brookhaven Airport. Please use caution, do not overfly the field. Skydiving in 1 minute over Brookhaven.
I stay full, Rich. I keep the cows open on a day like today. I'll listen to McGuire for a few minutes. I'm going to climb to 2,000.
Out of flying W out of 700 for 2,500. Looking for 3 hour practice to push 29 to Robbinsville.
Another guy 600 in front of me.
0436 and what are you, Warrior?
I'm going to simulate like this was altitude. I have a nav, but that's because I put nothing in here. This other guy is right in front of me, so I get up the cruise, and if I'm about 10,000 feet away, let's just power back to 20 inches. I'll pull this to 24. Sometimes less if I want quiet.
Player 39, copy.
Nice and quiet. Lean it to the E. Shut the cows. As the airspeed picks up, I trim down. I would go in the AUGs for cruise. I'm coming right back to the airport. I'm not. Pumps are off. Lights are off.
Make your way up to Trenton Robbinsville? Yeah, Trenton Robbinsville. 0 hour practice approach. Got it.
And I have that other traffic over there. When I lean this, I'm about 75 Rich at peak. I know that cylinder. I come down to fuel flow. And I'm 7.1 on the one I run, so the other one I'll match it to 7.2. And that's about it. So about 75 Rich at peak, and I'm gonna forget it. And I'll retrim, trim. Check my gauges, nothing popped, alternators are on. And the plane is happy. There you go, so I'm at 2,000, let's say I'm 10,000. Now I'm going to be headed back towards my airport. So this is about a landing, so I'm going to do we can come back to the right. Let's get the props synced up, they're horrible. Try and use my heading mode where I got to go, hold on. Got 2 people nearby, so I'm really looking outside. So my descent, prior to descent, depending on my trip, my cruise, my tanks, my top of my descent, I usually will have used up my AUGs. I want to leave the rest in the mains.
Pretty much Juliet traffic to off your left side, appears southbound 2,100 indicated. Pretty much Juliet is looking.
That'd be me.
We have him inside, we'll maintain a visual contact. Pretty much Juliet. Got it.
Nice and smooth. We don't want to be jerking the plane. There is no jerk in the plane. You feel the pressure of the wings coming across. So prior to my descent, I went to the mains. I power back 2 inches, and I'll let the nose come down 500 feet per minute. Nothing else changes. Fly for a little while, depending on how cold it is. I'm awfully light, pretty warm. Now I'm back to about 18 inches. I'll give it a little trim down. I can come down top of the white arc. It's not a big issue. There's my airport I'm coming in. I want to keep this descent going down. Notice I turn this a turn at a time, a half a turn at a time, not a lot of turn at a time. Last check on who's at the airport. I don't see anyone. So let's fly the plane. Prior to air pattern, I'll get my mains on. I got 2 LEDs on the wings. I got a nose wheel taxi light, which I love. My 45 is not too far away, so I'm slowly getting my power back. And because I'm so light, I'm going to want to be back to 15. And I'll say, let's get to 15. So my gum check's already starting to come in. I got my mains. Powered back to 15. I'm doing about buck 45 indicated, but I know once I trim level, that will just bleed off. Get within gear speed, turning downwind, midfield, drop into gear. I'm going to hold 15 inches because I'm light. If I was heavy, I might have 17 inches. Checklist, everything, door belts, all that good stuff, but my tanks, my lights, my gear light's blinking. I'm going to start this turn, so I use my heading bug on where I want to turn to, nice and smooth. Get off of McGuire. I start giving it a little up trim, that starts slowing me up within the gear speed. South Jersey traffic, Twin Comanche, zone 45 right now with 26. Really hot day. I'm going to open the cows. It will also give me a little extra drag. Now this is one of those situations where I'm leveling off and I'm barely at 150 and I want to get my gear down. I could power back or I can hold the nose up slightly. There's my 140. A little bit of rock the rudder to help it. And now I'm going to let the nose come back down. South Jersey twin downwind 26. Free trim for that. Once I get back down to my altitude, I should green. Now if I pull my gear back for horn, notice no gear horn. My gear is confirmed down by the green, by the horn. Alright, so I'm going to beam the numbers. Power to 15. I'm at top of the white. First notch of flaps, 1, 2, 3. I look out the window, looks good. I let the nose start coming down. And now I got G, pumps, green. Now I gotta think, I'm light, it's hot, I'm gonna float. I might want to be a little proactive, plus I don't have a good headwind. I'll bump everything forwards a little bit. I'll give a little flap ahead of time. And I'm going to turn base. And this base leg right now about 110, 115. I don't want to slice the horizon. I want to do a nice gradual 30-degree bank. Letting the nose come down. A little up trim. Dump the flaps. Gears confirmed down. Gum checks complete. Airplane's configured, 400 AGL, I'm committed to landing, I power back. Now I'm at 12 inches, one trim up, power back. And now I'm about 110, and I'm high, and I got a little energy, so I want to pull the power back a little bit, give it an up trim an inch, and do a gum check again. I got gear down.
South Jersey traffic, Sierra Z Foxtrot Delta, 4 miles to the east, inbound, grade landed on
power to idle. And now I'm going to hit this ground effect right here. And I'm going to hold this until she wants to settle. And I should be getting a horn. I was getting a horn. But I didn't have enough power to get more elevator authority. But I felt very controlled, so I let her touch down rather than work the plane. So here we are, that's it, we are on the ground. I'll have to check the video, I hope everybody liked it. So I try not to do anything